Hello everyone, very good morning. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis for 19th January 2026. Like every day, you and I shall be looking at UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. And from today's newspaper, I have picked up about 7 articles for analysis. Why? Because most of these articles here are quite important for mains or the prelims. And we will start with the editorial page article. From the editorial page article, we have 3 articles, okay? So 3 shall be covered today from the editorial. The remaining are more for prelims. Some will give you points for mains, but what is the key map analysis for the day? So talking about the map analysis, we shall look at 2 areas. One is in India, that is Kaziranga National Park. A little bit about that. Second is going to be Germany, because we are looking at India, Germany. The third and the most important is going to be Gaza. We shall be looking at the new Gaza Peace Board program created by President Trump. So, of course, we need to have a look at the map there. And before I show you the first article for the day, that is editorial page 6, which is about corruption in India and prior sanction. So, this is a case of a divided house. We are looking at a very split verdict. A very split verdict that has come from the bench of Supreme Court, a verdict decided between two honorable judges of the court, namely Justice B.V. Nagaratna and Justice K.V. Vishwanathan. And before I look into these, let me quickly welcome my dear students today. So I welcome Anup, Shubham, Raju, Neerath, Pranarathi, Ramu, Iba, as well as Vanshika, Sitaram, Hari, Kazu, Kaizan, Sravanathi, Sumedh. Welcome to the class. Very good morning, Terukula. Good morning, dear. Happy to see you. As well as Okay, great. As well as codename user. So, good morning, everyone. And as we initiate, let's focus on the first article for the day properly. The first article of the day can be associated with which UPSC GS paper syllabus. So, yes, this can be associated with GS paper 2. We are looking at polity and governance, okay? Because we are looking at a chief controversy that's happening right now in the Supreme Court of India. So, GS paper 2, polity and governance. And before we look into the article, good morning there. Mirza, good morning there. Khan, good morning there. Codename Sky and Gav and all of you. Very good morning. So let's begin with the first article now. Let's break it down, okay? I have put the notes also here. Let's focus, everyone. What is this article saying from the editorial page? This article from GS Paper 2 Polity and Governance is looking at a specific section known as Section 17A. Section 17A of Prevention of Corruption Act. Okay, so Prevention of Corruption Act. Prevention of Corruption Act, Section 17. That's what we are looking at. What does this article say? This article is talking about how on January 13th, 2026, few days before, there was a 2-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. This gave a split verdict. Now, what do you mean by split? Split means breaking down into 2 parts or more parts. Breakdown, a divided, a fractured, heterogeneous. Okay, so these 2 judges of the Supreme Court have given a split verdict. There is no uniformity in the verdict. What is the verdict about? The verdict is in the Center for Public Interest Litigation versus the Union of India case. Both the judges are challenging the constitutional validity of Section 17A of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. I repeat, Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Okay, that's what we are looking at. So both the judges are examining whether in this given act of 1988, Section 17A is valid or is it not valid? Very good, Rama. Is it valid or is it not valid? And as they examine, they both have given a very different kind of verdict here. Yes? Who are the judges involved? One, the first Lady Chief Justice of India to become soon. This is Justice B.V. Nagaratna, who has given some very milestone jurisdictions in her Supreme Court career. For example, she was the judge who spoke about. Why don't we have more regional uniformity, more regional representation at the level of collegium in Supreme Court? She was the one who spoke about strictly implementing POCSO 2012 as a gender neutral act. Today, she is also giving a verdict on Section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 and how valid that is. There is another judge involved here, and this is Justice K.V. Vishwanathan. So, both of them are talking about a main issue. What is the main issue? Let's focus. The main issue is that whether police should be allowed to investigate corruption cases against public servants immediately. Should it be allowed? Can the police take a criminal investigation against any corruption case that involves a public servant? Should it be done immediately, or should the police wait to get the prior consent, permission, approval of the government itself? So, do we need permission so that we are not misusing our power to harm honest public officers in India? So, should we wait, take the permission from the government so that we can protect honest officers from any kind of fake harassment? Or should we immediately allow the police to take an action against any charge of corruption as a part of public servant and their duty? Why is the verdict split? The verdict is split because one judge is saying that taking permission of the government itself is a problem. Why do we need to take the permission of the government? We can initiate the case. We can initiate the proceeding immediately. The investigation should be started. We don't have to wait for the permission of the government. Otherwise, we are trying to protect corrupt officers. But the other judge does not agree. The other judge, Justice K.V. Vishwanathan, says no. We should take permission. Permission is important because otherwise people will go on and keep on harassing and keep on spoiling the image of honest public servants. Yes. So Justice Vishwanathan says we should take the permission, but the main thing here is the government should not give the permission. The permission should be taken from a third party, from an autonomous body, independent body that is set up for the purpose. So that is the key reason behind the split verdict today. Yes, the fight is between one, Justice Nagaratna's belief that fighting corruption should be the priority. We don't have to wait and take the permission. And Justice Vishwanathan, who says, no, let's find a middle solution. Let's keep on taking the permission, but not from the government, from a third autonomous independent party. That's why the verdict is split right now. Okay? So the split verdict, what do you mean by a split verdict again? It happens when judges who are hearing the same case are giving different opinions and they do not agree on the final result together. Very good, Ramu. Literally a double-edged sword. Absolutely. So now what is happening? Justice B.V. Nagaratna, as I said, says that 17(1)(a) is unconstitutional. Remove that. That is what Justice Nagaratna says. But Justice Vishwanathan says no, it is not unconstitutional if you are using it with safeguards. If you are allowing the police to take permission from a third party, an autonomous independent body, before taking up investigation against corruption charges on a public servant, then it is valid. And because these two judges have not been able to agree, they haven't agreed on same protocol, it becomes a split verdict. And what happens in the case of a split verdict? Now there is no final decision. So now the case will go to the Chief Justice of India. And we know about the Chief Justice of India. Who is the 53rd Chief Justice of India? Yes. Very good. Ramu, Raju, Prasad, Terukula, Eric Kojuba. Good morning, bache. What do you mean by the Chief Justice right now? Who is the 53rd Chief Justice? Yes. Very good. Justice Suryakant. Okay. So now the case will go to him because it is a split verdict. So who will take the final call? The Chief Justice with another panel of senior judges will finally decide which opinion should we take and which should we reject. Whether we should totally abolish 17A, section of the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, or should we keep using it but with safeguards? So now that has opened up the big controversy for UPSC exam. What do you mean, bacha, by Section 17A of the 1988 Act? Very good, Rajneshwar Sitaram. Priyanshu, good morning. What do you mean by that? So let's focus carefully. It is Section 17A, that is, I have written the notes here. Section 17A is the section of the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, which stops, which controls the police from starting any inquiry or investigation against a public servant for decisions that they have taken in their official capacity without taking prior approval of the government. Why is it controversial today? It is controversial because corruption violates the rule of law. There can be no exemption in the case of corruption. Giving the government the power to stop investigation against a public servant means you are protecting public servants even when they have taken a wrong decision. A decision that promotes corruption as a part of their official duty or capacity. The government may itself become involved in the case. It could be about political favoritism and nepotism here. So, what are the arguments given by petitioners today? Petitioners in the case are saying Section 17A. It once again gives protection that has already been cancelled earlier by the Supreme Court. It violates completely Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, that's right to equality before the law. In front of the law, every Indian citizen is equal, no matter who that citizen is. You see, in past we have seen how in Pakistan, there has been a very controversial amendment that was passed known as Constitutional 127th Amendment to Pakistani Constitution. Under that, they have now given all kinds of protections, all kind of security to the army officers and senior government officers, to army generals like General Asim Munir. Now, nobody can convict them for any corruption charge. Is that a good thing to do? No, because now it has made Pakistan a military dominated country. General Asim Munir can take any decision, and the government, the court in Pakistan can do nothing against him. But we are not a country like that. We are a country that's rooted in democracy, a country that believes in Article 14, a country that believes in Article 21, right to life, liberty, dignity, a country that believes in Article 32. If my fundamental right is being taken away from me, I can approach the Supreme Court, Article 32. If my fundamental rights are being snatched, I can go to the High Court, Article 226. Very good, Ramu. Absolutely, Sumit. But yes, very good. We have certain constitutional exemptions like governor, president, whatever decision they take in their official capacity that cannot be questioned in the court. But then these are constitutional bodies. We are looking at public servants here. Public servants are not constitutional bodies. They are statutory provisions. We cannot keep protecting them against corruption by waiting to take government's permission before we can investigate a charge. Okay, now this is absolutely going against and defying the key Supreme Court judgments that were taken earlier. Which judgments are being spoken about? Listen carefully, I'll quickly explain them to you. Today, if we allow Section 17A, 226 is about right to constitutional remedies. Yes, Prasad, well pointed out. But 226 is about right to constitutional remedies. If your fundamental rights are being snatched, abridged, you can go to the High Court or the Supreme Court. If you go to Supreme Court, that's Article 32. If you go to High Court, that's 226. And when talking about High Court itself, it is 224. So well said. Yes, we are looking at writs, Hari. Absolutely. Correct. Now, public servants are executive post. Very true. Statutory post. Yes. Now, if today we completely abolish Article 17A, it means we are doing justice against corruption. But if we continue to hold on to Section 17A of this Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, we are defying, we are refusing the previous landmark judgments of the Supreme Court. Which are the previous landmark judgments? Listen carefully. Now, the first one here is a very famous court case that is known as Vineet Narayan case. Vineet Narayan versus the Supreme Court of India. Okay, versus the Union of India. This is 1998. Vineet Narayan versus Union of India case. What are we talking about in this case? Very good, Prasad. What are we talking about in this case? Listen very carefully, please. During the Vineet Narayan case, 1998, what had happened? It is a landmark Supreme Court case in India, which tries to address the problem of government corruption and institutional independence. It was passed as a part of Hawala scandal, 1990s Hawala scandal. Okay, the case came out due to the Hawala scandal, and it completely redefined the autonomy of investigative agencies in India, especially when you look at the CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. What happened in this court case? From 1998, the issue was that should the government interfere when it comes to anti-corruption investigations of the public servants? What was the result of the case? The result was that we made it mandatory that we should have autonomy and independence being given to bodies like CBI and CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. That's what the court decided. The case originated when a journalist named as Vineet Narayan, he made it public. Now listen carefully. Listen very carefully. Mr. Vineet Narayan. Who was he? Who was he? He was a journalist. A journalist who publicly published the evidence of politicians and bureaucrats who used to receive illegal payments through Hawala brokers. Yes, he publicized that. Now what happened? Despite clear-cut clues and evidences, the CBI failed to prosecute and punish high-level officers. There was no action taken against them. This raised concerns about political influence over investigations. Now what happened? Mr. Narayan later filed a public interest litigation PIL before the Supreme Court to force the bodies like CBI and other investigative agencies to punish these people against whom we have clear-cut evidence of corruption. So what did Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court said that investigative agencies must operate without political interference. We cannot allow government to interfere when it comes to anti-corruption investigation at all. Here the Supreme Court, we are looking at Article 32. Yes, Santosh, Priyanshu. What are we looking at? Article 32. The power of the Supreme Court to issue writs. We have spoken about so many writs in the case of Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, who has been detained under National Security Act in India. We spoke about habeas corpus, certiorari, mandamus, quo warranto. Today, in the case of Mr. Vineet Narayan, the Supreme Court invoked a writ under Article 32. Which writ was that? This writ is mandamus. Mandamus, where the Supreme Court reminds the lower bodies, government bodies, courts to carry on their duty with full commitment. Yes? So now what happened? The Supreme Court therefore invoked the writ called mandamus, and it directed the government to implement complete reforms here. There was, out of this directive, that we created the CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, as a statutory body to overlook CBI. And it enforced fixed tenures for these agency heads so that they are completely independent. What has been the legal impact of this course? Of this case. Now, this judgment has laid the foundation of modern accountability in India's anti-corruption framework. For the first time, it was because of this case that court had invoked mandamus. That Central Vigilance Commission took birth. It came as a body to now oversee the CBI. It gave independence to the heads of bodies like CVC and CBI to have a fixed tenure. Nobody can remove them so that the government cannot interfere. This is known as a milestone case in India. It reinforced the principle that law requires impartial, non-biased investigation regardless of who the person is, regardless of who the accused is. And following this ruling, now the Parliament acted another very interesting act, Central Vigilance Commission Act 2003. And then what happened? We created a separate body named as Central Vigilance Commission. Very important. Another Supreme Court case is something that's being invoked here. And this is known as Subramanian Swamy case. Subramanian Swamy case. Very good. Absolutely, Hari and Rishi. Correct. 1980. Preventive detention. Article 20, Article 22 of the Constitution. Good job. Now, Subramaniam Swamy case. We are looking at another milestone case from 2014. I'll ask questions on this. So, Bacha, please remember. You just studied about Vineet Narayan, the famous journalist who published Hawala evidences. Don't forget that, okay? Now I'm talking about Subramaniam Swamy, 2014. Good morning, Bulbul. Please focus. What am I saying? I'm saying during the Subramaniam Swamy case 2014, there was a very famous milestone that was developed in India in which the Honorable Supreme Court made one decision. What did it say? The court said, however high you may be as an officer, whatever be your position in India, the law is always above you. The law will always continue to be above you. This case of Subramaniam Swamy deals with a very important section, and that is known as Section 6A of an act known as DSPE Act. I will break it down. Section 6A DSPE Act. What are we looking at in this case? Now, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy versus Director CBI 2014. It was a landmark judgment created through the Supreme Court of India. Under this, we struck down. What did we do? We struck down. We removed Section 6A of the DSPE. What is DSPE? We are looking at Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. Under Subramaniam Swamy case of 2014, Supreme Court struck down Section A of this act. Why? Because the court said that the provision has violated constitutional guarantee of equality under Article 14 of the act. What happened in this act? Let's quickly understand what happened in the Subramaniam Swamy case. So listen carefully. Under Subramaniam Swamy case, there was a controversy about Section 6A of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Why? Because the Section A of this act required you to take a prior permission, a prior approval from the central government before the CBI could conduct inquiry or investigation into corruption charges against officers of the rank Joint Secretary and above. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy case had challenged this clause, arguing that this Section 6A of the Act, DSPE, protected senior officers from accountability and undermined anti-corruption efforts in India. The primary question, therefore, was whether Section 6A created arbitrary distinction between senior and junior public servants. How can you discriminate? When it comes to senior public servants, Joint Secretary and above, you will not do any inquiry against them without taking government's permission. But when it comes to lower level officers, you will allow. Does that not break down the protocol of Article 14? That's a right to equality in India. So therefore, then the Supreme Court examined the provision in the light of all the evidences and finally decided that Section 6A is 100% discriminatory. Let's remove that. It violates Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. It violates Article 14, right to equality. And the Supreme Court said if corruption by higher officers can be excused, then corruption by anybody can be excused. It is as serious as a corruption done by any individual in India. And we do not need to wait for the government's permission just because the officer who is accused is a high-level officer. And therefore, what happened? CBI got authority. CBI gained authority to investigate all public servant-related cases of corruption without any prior sanction, without any prior approval. This created equality when it comes to anti-corruption law in India. So these are the two milestone cases of the Supreme Court. One, Vineet Narayan case, the famous journalist of Hawala. Second, Subramaniam Swamy case, where we removed Section 6A of the Delhi Special Police Act 1946. Okay, so now these milestone cases are inspiring us today also. Today also, as we are looking at prevention of Corruption Act 1988, Section 17A is highly discriminatory. It says you must take government's permission, otherwise you cannot do any investigation against senior officers. But then it is absolutely invalid. Today, Justice Nagaratna has clearly said that it is unconstitutional. We cannot depend on prior permission of the government. It is about protecting corruption otherwise. It is reviving unconstitutional protection towards higher public services. We therefore cannot wait for government approval. Sorry, it is discriminatory. But this view is not supported by Justice Vishwanathan. What does he say? He agrees that we must do something against corruption, but Justice Vishwanathan says Section 17A of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 is not unconstitutional. Let us not remove it, but let us not take government's prior permission. Let us take the permission of a third-party autonomous body like the Lokpal. For example, the Lokpal of India. They should be the ones who should give the prior approval before investigation can start, and this approval should be legally binding. It should be legally binding. So what's the conclusion here? There are three takeaways from this article. Sometimes even when the intention is the same, there can be a split jurisdiction between two or more judges, like it's happening today. And in that case, what happens? The Chief Justice of India then will have to come and intervene in the issue. Yes, the Lokpal is what we are talking about. Anti-corruption. Yes. Now, second thing we learned from this article is that Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 has a section called 17A that makes it compulsory to take prior approval of the government before you investigate corruption charges against senior level officers. Today it is debatable, with Justice Nagaratna saying remove it immediately and Justice Vishwanathan saying don't remove it, just make sure prior approval comes from third party, not from the government itself. So that is the key agenda of this article. Now, what is the core constitutional issue? Core constitutional issue is how do we create a balance between protecting honest public servants and punishing those who are responsible for corruption. What is happening right now? Due to the split verdict, the case has now been given to the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant. Now a larger bench will be created, and that bench will finally decide whether to retain Section 17A or whether to remove it completely from the Anti-Corruption Act 1988. Is that clear to everyone? I hope it is. Let's quickly have a look at the question now. Yes. With reference to Section 17A of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, look at these statements. 1. Section 17A makes it mandatory to take prior approval of the appropriate government before any police officer can conduct an inquiry or investigation against a public servant for decisions taken in their official capacity. Second, the Center for Public Legislation versus Union of India. During that court case, Supreme Court had unanimously, with a singular voice, and we are looking at the right now case, the case that is being conducted right now, the one that we are talking about. In this case, the Center of Public Interest Legislation versus Union of India, Supreme Court unanimously with a majority, struck down Section 17A as unconstitutional. Is that the case? Okay. 3. One of the opinions in the case suggested that prior approval for investigation could be constitutionally valid. And who said that? Justice Vishwanathan says that. If such approval is given by independent authority like the Lokpal rather than the government itself. So which of these statements are valid here? Now, before you give me the answer, just read all the statements very carefully, especially the second one here. I'm talking about the court case that we just discussed right now, which is taking inspiration from previous milestone cases like Vineet Narayan and Subramanian Swamy. What is going on right now? Yes? So what are the answers? Anup Rishi Ramu has clarified the answer as well. Terukula? Yes. Eric? Vanishka? Codename Sky? Hari? Madhav? Everyone has answered. And Sitaram and Rajnishwar Priyanshu? Majority says that the answer should be B. Pranarthi Santosh, is that the case? Yes, it absolutely should be B. So very well answered there. A round of applause for all of you. First and third are valid. Second cannot be valid. Why? Ramu explains already. Yes, Shubham Nirat, correct. Ramu says, why? Because just now we discussed that in the ongoing case, there has been a split verdict between Justice Nagaratna and Justice Vishwanathan. I also told you what is a split verdict. In that case, there is no decision that has been taken, and now the Honorable Chief Justice of India will create a larger bench and investigate in the case. There is no clarity. Justice Nagaratna says remove section 17A, but Justice Vishwanathan says no. We can't remove it. Just make sure that it is used with adequate safeguards. I hope it's clear. Very good. Is it wrong? Section 17A makes it mandatory to take prior approval of appropriate government before a police officer can conduct inquiry against a public servant on decisions taken in official capacity. But that's correct only. That's why it's debatable. I told you that Section 17A of the Anti-Corruption Prevention Act 1988 is talking about the same thing. It says before you can investigate, before a police can do any investigation into anti-corruption charge, they have to take the government's approval. If we are investigating against a person who is a high-level government officer, and that's why we are saying it's invalid today. We can't wait for the approval, no? Otherwise, what happens? It encourages corruption. That's why it's correct. Okay, I hope it's clear, Terukula. That's why B is the right answer. But well answered, everyone. Yes, under Subramanyam Swamy case, let's remember from 2014, just like we had struck down Section 6A of the Delhi Special Police Act. Okay, we had struck it down, 1946. Now we are questioning, should we remove Section 17A also? That's the case. I hope it's clear. Quickly, let's proceed with the second article for the day. This is also editorial, but this is coming from GS paper 2 this time. It is looking at international relations, this time between India and Germany. We recently saw that German Chancellor, Mr. Friedrich Merz, was in India. And he and Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi had a very strong bonding. They were celebrating Indian festival together, and it was also a time when India and Germany were talking about their strong bilateral relation, and both India and Germany have decided that in future they will continue to strengthen their relationship, whether it is about bilateral trade, free trade agreement, whether it is about people-to-people migration, or whether it is about defense and industrial defense equipment manufacturing sharing. So they will maintain this kind of a relationship. Plus, both the countries will also talk about how to improve the international law, how to prevent terrorism. These are all the agendas that were discussed. Now, as both of them were flying kites, as Terukula reminds us, absolutely they were. What has happened really? Let's quickly break down. Here's the map of Germany. It's a simple map. It's a political map, but you should keep this in mind because it's a very key area dominated by European Union, European Economic Council, that's the area. Majority of these countries are into the Eurozone countries, Schengen visa countries. Let's have a look at these countries here. Germany with its capital Berlin, surrounded by other countries like Netherlands, surrounded by Belgium, Luxembourg, some of the richest countries of the world, very high per capita income. Switzerland, Austria also, we should remember because it is the Austria, we have Vienna, that's the headquarters of IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. Then you have Czech, and here you have other countries like Poland. Why were Poland and Czech in the news in 2025? Because most of these countries were getting worried as Russia and Belarus were sending their drones to inspect their security arrangements. So it almost became a NATO versus Russia and Belarus narrative. So remember the map, broadly remember. In the northern side, we have Denmark. We have all the Scandinavian countries, which again are rich countries. They have a very high happiness index ranking every year, okay? So that's the broad area here. Left side, you can remember United Kingdom. India and UK have signed a 2035 India-UK roadmap partnership agreement, under which not just bilateral trade, but also many other areas like defense, AI, and semiconductor, people-to-people migration are being looked into. Yes. And let's also remember from UK, we are looking at Brexit also. Brexit is a very crucial development between EU and UK itself when UK split away. From the EU. Okay. So this is the broad map. We should keep this in mind. Very good, Vanishka. Very good. There is a news, of course, about Bulgaria being a part of the Eurozone, the Eurogroup. Very well done. So if that's the map, then let's see what happened right now between India and Germany. So let me quickly summarize this article. So listen, please, carefully. Very good. Good morning, Vikash, by the way. Good morning. Okay, so let's focus. Last week, there were photos in the newspaper, in the media, of Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Yes, as Terikula reminds us, they were flying kites and celebrating festivals in Gujarat, Ahmedabad. These images were only symbolic because, if you remember, after the breakdown of relationship with President Trump, India now doesn't believe really in making close friends or close enemies. So the photo was not about saying that yes, India and Germany are the best friends. No, it was just about creating a symbolic effect that yes, the relation between India and Germany. Now let's remember, India is the fourth largest economy in the world right now, but the third largest is Germany. Besides, I have told you earlier that Germany is the largest economy in the European Union, the largest economy of EU. Very good, Terukula. Largest economy of EU and the third largest economy globally, India being the fourth largest. So naturally, both the countries are now believing in a strong, resilient relationship. But there is a very positive thing about this relationship. Why? Let me quickly summarize this agenda here, and I hope you will remember what I'm saying right now. For those who have studied sociology, polity, PSIR, anthropology, will always remember this, I know. But for everyone, there is a concept named as zero sum power. Zero sum power. There are few countries like China and America who always believe that power in the world is constant. Therefore, only one person or two people maximum can hold that power. Power cannot be decentralized, it cannot be shared between different institutions and different people. That's why these people are always against multilateralism. They always believe in unilateralism, like what America is doing, because they believe in zero constant sum power theory. That power is fixed. Either I have it or nobody else has it. This is the narrative that was used by President Trump when it comes to Greenland. He says, if today I don't capture Greenland, probably China or Russia will do that because power is always fixed. There can be no sharing of power. The beauty of India-Germany relationship is that both these countries, as the third and the fourth largest economy, respectively, they do not believe in the theory of zero-sum constant power. These are the countries who believe if Germany grows, it will be good for India. If India grows, it will be good for Germany because after all, they have a huge bilateral relationship, and that's the beauty of this relation. They don't believe in a narrow-minded theory of power that power can be fixed. So therefore, only one can have it. No one else. That's not like that. Both these countries believe if both of them promote their mutual growth, respective mutual growth, it's good for either of the two because power is meant to be shared. In today's multilateral world, you can't expect power to be concentrated like a zero-sum game. It has to be shared and distributed. That's the beauty of multilateralism. Otherwise, we shall go back to the Second World War and Cold War period. There is going to be no difference. So what is happening now? India and Russia are moving beyond partnership. And what are they saying? They are saying today the world is in a dangerous situation. Today the world is experiencing a breakdown of United Nations, World Trade Organization, World Health Organization, and many other bodies like UNFCCC. Countries like America and Israel have one by one withdrawn from all these agencies and they have broken protocols. Even when you talk about a body like UNSC, the Security Council, although it has 5 permanent members, but majority of these members, mainly China and America, they keep on issuing vetoes in order to counteract against each other's initiatives. Therefore, today the global order is weakening. And no country is ready to respect the global law. And therefore, both India and Germany are stressing on a transparent, rule-based order. Both want predictability because their priority is improving their economy. Their priority is not to engage in battles and wars everywhere. And therefore, they believe that power cannot be a constant sum game. Power has to be distributed among too many people, among many governments together. Otherwise, no neighborhood will be peaceful. Today, if India is powerful in South Asia, at the same time, if countries like Pakistan, if countries like Afghanistan, if countries like Bangladesh or Nepal, if they keep on receding in backwardness, if they keep on having civil wars, will that not mean insecurity and a security threat for India? Definitely, it will mean that. So, without strengthening your neighborhood, also, you cannot expect to live in peace. That's what India, Germany are saying. Now, being the third and the fourth largest economies of the world, India perhaps may also overtake Germany in times to come. Germany knows that. And Mr. Frederick Merz said, at this speed, India might overtake Germany to become the third largest economy globally, but that's okay. Germany is not insecure about that. Germany believes in fair competition, and Germany says we can only take advantage of each other. We cannot be jealous of each other and fight each other, just like America is trying to now suppress China by putting tariffs or by putting military action in Taiwan. America can't tolerate China becoming a rising economy because America cannot stand competition at all, at all. But that's not Germany's belief. Germany says it's not like that. We aren't insecure about the fact that India may soon become the third largest economy, overtaking us. We should take benefit of each other's growth rather than fight with each other. We must look at mutual growth. And here comes in the picture European Union India Free Trade Agreement. It's very crucial here. India's FTA with the countries of EU. How will it help? Improve bilateral trade. For a country like India, which has been a victim of American 50% tariff, it will mean a better access to the markets of European Union. Yes, there are challenges because we also have to manufacture very smartly. We cannot have a high carbon emission. We have to control our carbon emission. We have to make our products environmentally and health friendly. But it also means if we believe in all these safeguards, we can have an access to European Union market, and that's a rich market. It will also reduce the impact of trade war that's going on in the world right now. It will improve India's own supply chain resilience. Now, interestingly, Mr. Merz, when he came to India, this is his first visit outside Western Alliance. That shows the importance of India in the world. Germany welcomes and allows and invites highly skilled migrants from India, just like New Zealand has invited. Today, Germany is inviting. We are focusing on legal, safe, and predictable migration. There is no need for illegal migration through the donkey routes and all. Germany says we welcome Indian students, we welcome Indian professionals, we will give them valid visas. After all, we are a growing economy. We will get support from India's human resource capital, and young Indians are very good at adapting. That's what he said. He appreciated India's human resource potential. He said Indians are very intelligent. They adapt very fast to new language, new rules, and new culture. So, therefore, migrating for work or education will definitely improve India's own economy. Better foreign remittance for India, much better potential, much better labor supply for Germany. Okay, and Germany today is also an aging society. So, therefore, Germany needs Indian skilled workers. Today, both the countries are celebrating 75 years of their diplomatic relationship in 2026, and Germany will celebrate platinum jubilee of its relationship with India in 2026. Now, both the countries are saying relations are clearly strategic, relations are also mutualistic. We are getting benefit from each other. And what's the future solution? Germany continues to support EU India Free Trade Agreement. Germany has appreciated India's agreement with the four countries of European Union, TEPA. Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. Germany supports that. Germany invites Indians into their own country. Germany says, let's keep on having more intergovernmental consultations whenever India plans to visit Germany. So relations are going very smooth right now. But there are two things that have emerged. One, wonderfully so, both the countries do not believe in power as a constant sum zero. No, they believe in sharing power. And second, both of them are believing in creating a safe neighborhood. Instability in neighborhood always reflects in your own insecurity, and that's why for India as a country, 1991 and 2014 are 2011 rather are two very important milestones. In 1991, Indian government had announced during the Prime Minister Narasimha Rao government, the government had announced Look East policy. Look East policy. Now, from 2011 to 2014, we have reversed the policy and made it more upgraded into Act East policy. So, from Look East into Act East policy. Now, we are actually taking initiative to promote more peace in South Asia. Okay, very good. Wonderful, Vikash and Kundan. Good morning. Yes, from 2014 specifically. Very well done. Okay, I have jotted down some points here also about how they believe in power not being a net zero sum game and all that. Okay, so you can get notes from here. Quickly, the question. Very good, Kundan. Great, Vanishka. With reference to India Germany relations, please look at the following questions. 1. Mr. Frederick Merck's visit to India highlights the need for a European Union India free trade agreement to strengthen economic resilience against trade war and supply chain disruption. Second, Germany looks at India's growth as a major global economy as a benefit rather than as a zero sum competition. And three, India Germany migration partnership emphasizes legal, safe, and predictable migration, particularly for India's skilled professionals. Which of these are true? I haven't heard from my dear Kujumba in the last 10 minutes. So, Kujumba, are you answering the question? Well answered. Kundan, Ramu. Ramu has summarized for us once again. So nice of him. America, China, Germany, India, Japan. That's the order of economies. Very good. Sometimes our conversation that we have here is also so meaningful and productive. Sometimes I feel I should save all these live comments, and that also will help us in revising in the future. That's the beauty of live interaction, yes. Shubham, Santosh, Sumedh, Neerath, Eric have answered. Hari, Sitaram, Vanishka, Madhav have answered. Ramu, Kundan, Terukula have answered. Vikash has answered. Very good. Kojumba has not answered. Bulbul has not answered. Prasad has not answered. What is happening? Are we there in the class? Kojumba, are you there? Udit has answered. Abhilash has answered. Arathia answers. Anup answers. Very good. I'm so happy when new students are also participating. Very good. And what about Bulbul and Kojumba quickly? What about Mr. Khan? Yes? Okay, two more people answer with code names. Wonderful. So I think everybody is saying answer is D, and so is it. All these statements are correct. So once again, huge round of applause because majority is right. Well done. Very well answered. So quickly, let's swift on to the third article for the day. Very good. Very good, Priyanshu. Third article for the day. What are we talking about? Third article of the day is again GS paper 2 in terms of UPSC syllabus, but also GS paper 3. Why GS paper 2? Because we are looking at international relations. And why are we looking at GS paper 3? Because we are looking at, once again, tariff war. President Trump's tariff war. That's why it's GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. Yes, Ramu, we are looking at Mr. Trump. Okay. In that case, I would say Kundan both. Sorry for being diplomatic, but if you look at the monthly compilation, you will just get a look at the more important news monthly. But when you look at daily news analysis, you get to know the pinpoints of which places are in the news, which geographical areas, which developments. So it keeps you more rooted in current affairs. So I would say to be on the safe side both. But if time is a constraint, then you could focus on monthly compilation. Yes. Okay, Kundan. Satya Vikash. Yes, we are looking at that issue. All right. Then what is the article saying? Let's quickly summarize. Okay. So let's focus. What is going on, Bache, right now? Let's go to the map. We have to go to the map first. Okay. Here's the map. The map is here coming from. We have the map here that's coming from Greenland. Okay. So here's Greenland. Okay. Now you all understand by now. Who owns Greenland? Denmark owns Greenland. It is administered by Denmark. Who is Denmark? What is Denmark? Denmark is one of the key founding countries of NATO. You just saw the map right now. When we were looking at Germany's map, you saw Denmark on the top. So that's where Denmark is, with a capital as Copenhagen, a founding member of NATO. It also controls Greenland. Yes, absolutely. So what's going on here? Now, in early 2026, few days before, very good. Few days before, President Trump announced that I will impose tariff on several European countries. Why? Why is he imposing another tariff on European Union nations? Why? New tariff. New tariff on EU countries have been announced by President Trump. Why? Because he wants to pressurize them. He wants to pressurize them about Greenland, a large Arctic territory administered by Denmark. Denmark itself, a founding member of NATO. Trump wants to either buy it from Denmark or he wants to control it completely. What has President Trump announced? President Trump says, I am going to impose 10% additional tariff on those countries which are doing any kind of trade in and around Greenland. And this, very good, Abhilash. This is an announcement that will be applicable to 8 countries of Europe. To 8 countries of Europe, okay? So America will impose 10% tariff from immediately now onwards on European countries, which are NATO countries, also starting from February 1st, 2026. So 1st February 2026 onwards, 10% tariff on 8 countries total. Which are these countries? Countries of EU, countries of NATO. Why? Now, if this tariff is not taken seriously on all these 8 countries, then very good, it will be further increased from 10 to 25%. Yes, so do you see the situation? From February 1st onwards, 8 countries of NATO EU will have 10% extra tariff, and if they do not take Mr. President Trump seriously, then additional 25% tariff from June onwards, if no final agreement is created on the issue of Greenland. What is the issue? And who are these targeted 8 countries? These targeted 8 countries are, let's go to the notes. These targeted 8 countries are Denmark, of course, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, UK, Netherlands, and Finland. Why? This is meant to force them to accept America's demand over Greenland. Why Greenland only? What is so special about Greenland? Greenland is strategically located in the Arctic region, rich in resources like fish, natural gas, oil, and critical minerals. Very important for security purposes. America already maintains a base here. Earlier it was called as Thule base. Now it is known as Pitufik base. If America gets Greenland, America can from here very strategically maintain an observation on all the missile programs taken by Russia and many advances to the Arctic taken by China. It's a great location for him. President Trump says that it is important for American security and America therefore wants to acquire it. It is also hinting, America has hinted at a possible use of force, that is, once again breaking down Article 2.4 of UN Charter, just like it happened in the case of Venezuela. European countries have opposed it. They are angry today. They are saying Greenland belongs to Denmark and the people of Greenland. They have a unique culture of their own. We cannot allow America to overtake it like that. It's not a joke. European countries are calling this unacceptable. They are calling this as economic blackmail. They says emergency meetings are now being conducted between EU ambassadors in order to give a coordinated strong response against President Trump. Some European countries are saying we will also use anti-coercion instrument. If you force us, coercion means force. If you force us, we will use anti-force instrument. We will retaliate with our own retaliatory tariff. We will also put severe restrictions on American companies that are dealing with trade in European Union. Today, France, Germany, and UK have also rejected completely America's pressure, and they say it is about Denmark or Danish sovereignty over Greenland. What could be the legal and political issues involved here? Now, President Trump today says that I will force all these countries of EU legally, economically, and if necessary, then even through military use. But within America, what's the response? Now, President Trump is a man who always believed in MAGA, make America great again. He said, I am imposing high tariffs on other countries because I don't want any company to compete with American companies. I am stopping migration because I don't want American jobs to be given to outsiders. I'm doing everything it takes to make America the greatest country in the world, and this narrative was justified in capturing Venezuela, attacking Cuba, threatening Iran, and eventually Taiwan, sending weapons and trying to control Taiwan, and today also Greenland. But within America, now people are also getting fed up of this behavior. Until a certain point, they were okay with President Trump, at least the right wing people who used to be convinced by telling them that we were only doing this to support American domination. People were okay with it. If you remember last year, there was another controversy when President Trump was forcing India to buy genetically modified corn, GMO corn. Why? Because President Trump's own constituency is covering those areas in America which are rich in corn production. Everything he is doing to become a star in the eyes of local Americans. But today it is backfiring also. People are fed up with this violence. Today, this tariff plan of 10 and then 25% of European Union has not been taken properly in America. American courts are questioning president's authority to put such measures on foreign countries. They say it is undermining America's image as a democracy. It's not good for us. European leaders are saying tariffs are undermining and threatening the years of transatlantic trade cooperation that has been shared between European Union and America. How will it impact NATO and global politics? It will completely devastate NATO as a body that is managed by America and European Union. I mean, this is unbelievable that the same NATO that was supporting Ukraine, President Trump was financing Ukraine. He was telling Mr. Zelensky, keep on fighting with Russia, do not give up. NATO is behind you. Today, suddenly he chooses to undermine NATO. Tells Mr. Zelensky, go give up. You are a loser in the war. European Union is rotting. I will not support EU in military. I am not going to participate in NATO. Now, how will other nations accept this sudden mood swing? It's not easy. The dispute will undermine the existence of NATO completely. NATO has another charter, another article called Article 5 about collective security, collective self-defense. Today, without America, will other NATO countries be able to use that? Who will finance NATO's agenda in the future? Now, this will redefine the global geopolitics. Why? If NATO becomes weak, if it becomes less effective, it will mean more security threat coming from Russia. Today, Russia is trying to capture one by one all the areas that are in buffer between Ukraine and Russia. You saw the map, you know the map. Your own very famous Ludo Zaxxon or whatever that is. Crimea, Kherson, Zaporizhia, Luhansk and Donbass, all of that. So today, Russia is threatening that. Yes, Terukula. Tomorrow, Russia will perhaps try to penetrate more areas in the eastern territory of NATO. Already drones were witnessed last year in Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic. All these countries were very worried when exercise called Zapad, Z-A-P-A-D, happened between Russia and Belarus, to which India was also invited. Exercise Zapad. It was already sending drones to monitor the eastern territory of NATO. These countries were scared. That time they had a support system called Trump. At least America would give them money. Today America is refusing that kind of money. Will it not allow more access to Russia in the west, in the western frontier? That means in the eastern part of NATO territories. It's dangerous. A more full-fledged war may break out, not just including Ukraine, but more NATO partners. Dangerous again. Some critics are also saying American lawmakers, including Republicans, are also warning now that this policy could hurt America's global alliances. Why does it matter in UPSC exam? It matters because it is a question on territorial sovereignty and integrity. Today, if you can capture any country, just because you want to capture that, it lays a dangerous example to countries like China. After America, the next country that believes in capturing territories is the country that believes in string of pearls, the country that believes in 9-dash line, the country that believes in grey zone warfare, the country that believes in salami slicing policy. I told you salami slicing. Which is that country? China. If America lays this dangerous example that I can capture anything I want, Venezuela, Cuba or Greenland, tomorrow China may also keep on making same claims in the South China Sea, East China Sea, Indo-Pacific. Yesterday, 3 days before, China has already been threatening us over the Shaksgam Valley area near Siachen territory. Why? Because China again has salami slicing policy. One by one, it keeps on claiming territories near its mainland. Okay, so that means tomorrow China will take same action against Taiwan, against Hong Kong. You never know, against areas like Senkaku. Today, one more island is becoming a matter of controversy. I will not discuss this in this class. I will keep it a suspense. I will make a proper current affairs video on that on the channel, so you can see that, and after that we can talk about it. I am just making a small suspense. One more article that's today in controversy between China and Japan. I will today talk about it. Very good. Absolutely. Aksai Chin, Leh, Shaksgam, Arunachal. China will also get that opportunity. Very good, Abhilash. Another one I'm talking about. You see, it is laying a dangerous example. Now it will also undermine all the global bodies like G7. There will be a war. It will undermine bodies like G20. Already bodies like UN, WTO, World Health Organization have been undermined. Now it's time for the breakdown of NATO as well. A complete fracturing of transatlantic relations as well. You can't use tariff like a diplomatic tool. You can't do that. If you're doing that today, you are breaking down all the global protocols that were set after the Second World War. And today, the attempt at Greenland acquisition had once again, it has raised an issue of trade crisis, diplomatic crisis, transatlantic relation, and NATO security itself. That's what this article is talking about. Okay, so quickly a practice question with reference to a recent American tariff threat against EU: 10% from February 1, 25% from June 1 if demands are not met. Which of these are correct? 1. US announced a phased increase in tariffs on many EU countries to pressurize them regarding Greenland, which is being administered by Denmark. Second, European countries responded by saying their collective commitment to Greenland is there in defense, and they consider the use of European Union's anti-coercion treatment instrument. Anti-coercion, anti-force. Nobody can force you. Third, the tariff action taken by America it has had clear legislative approval from American Congress, and it has faced no legal challenge under American law. Which of these are valid here? Very well answered by Priyanshu, Vikash, Terukula, Sumedh, Hari, Sumit, Abhilash, codename King. What about Bulbul? What about Sitaram? What about Kojumba? What about Mr. Khan? What about Akhtar? What about Sumedh, Saurav? Raju has answered, Sitaram has answered, Kundan has answered, Ramu has answered. Very good, very good. Priyanshu has clarified it so well for us. Terukula has answered. Terukula has made a lovely mnemonic for us also. That's very nice. Okay, Vanishka, Shubham, Santosh, Rajnishwar. Very good. Yes, the answer indeed here is going to be B, because third is not correct. We just saw that in America as well, it is various parties, members from Republican as well as the Democrats themselves. The entire parliament, the Congress members are not happy with this. They say that it's going to spoil America's image as one of the largest democracies. It will spoil the transatlantic relation. Why transatlantic? Because you've seen the Atlantic Ocean, the North Atlantic Ocean between EU and America. That's also the area that was in the news. Why? Because America was using the North Atlantic Ocean to capture various ships coming from Russia, Russian flagged ships. Okay, calling them as shadow fleet. Yes, very good. It is warning now. So well done. And the right answer, round of applause, because majority is right again. I hope it's clear to everyone. Eric has answered. I really haven't heard from Kojumba. I'm concerned. Kojumba, are you there? Okay. Coming to the next article quickly. This is a short one before we go to a slightly long one. This is an article that's coming from GS paper 3. It's a very short article, but why I got this here? Because just to revise some important prelims facts. GS paper 3, because we are looking at ecology. Ecology and environmental conservation. Yes, shadow fleet. Very good. Very good. We are looking at the Kaziranga National Park from the state of Assam. From the state of Assam. We are looking at Kaziranga National Park. Now, we were talking about the state of Assam as we were talking about the National Population Register. We were looking at Assam Accord 1985. We were looking at how Assam has declined, said no to conduct an SIR, Special Intensive Revision, in 2025, saying that in 2019 we already had and a population enumeration for the National Population Register. So we don't need a separate SIR now. Citizenship is controversial here owing to a whole big debate about Bangladesh immigration. Okay, so that is Assam. Now, today Assam is in the news because of its wildlife. We are looking at an area that's known as Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park is the key habitat for unique one-horned rhinoceros. In between, a very strange event happened. The Indian government advised by various wildlife experts, started following the practice of slowly slicing off or cutting off very delicately without hurting the animals, slicing off the one horn of these rhinoceros. Why was it reduced to this much from a big size? Because majorly these rhinoceros are hunted, captured, and killed for their horn. The horn is a thick keratin based material. Keratin is that hard protein which makes human hair and human nails. It's very hard, it's there in the horn. But these rhinoceros are usually poached for their horn. There are many countries in South Asia, including Vietnam, Cambodia, especially China, which believe that this powder of the horn has some great medical properties. They can even cure diseases like cancer and AIDS. That's a belief that they have. They use it for their herbal medication, and that's why these rhinoceros are usually hunted and killed, absolutely, even when they are small. So the government decided to slice them to prevent poaching, but it was realized that it is impacting their immunity level. The immunity level of these rhinoceros was going down. They were now getting sick because of virus and bacterial infections. Probably the horn had something to do with the immunity system. So therefore, now what happened? The government said, let's not do that. Let's not remove the horn. Now what they are doing very smartly, rather than cutting off the horn, they are making a small hole in it, a painless hole in it. In that they are putting a kind of sensor, AI based sensor. It's a small chip. Now wherever that rhinoceros is going, the authorities can now observe their movement. And in case anybody is attacking or coming near the rhinoceros, immediately the authorities are alerted and the guards take action. So that's a new initiative they have taken, and that's a beautiful initiative. That's why this area was in the news. Today we are looking at Kaziranga corridor. So what has happened? The Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi, just yesterday, he laid the foundation of Kaziranga elevated corridor. It's a major expensive project, about 6,000 crore rupees. Why are we doing this? Because this corridor will be like a wildlife corridor. You all know the logic behind wildlife corridors. What is a corridor? A corridor is an area that passes smoothly without any break in between. In India, for a very long time, we are experiencing the problem of habitat fragmentation. What do you mean by habitat fragmentation? A small example could be there is a big forest, but you have to maintain railway in that forest. Railway lines will pass from here. Flyovers will go from here. Bridges will pass from here. Tourism happens, so people come, so highways and proper roadways have to be created. Now, what is happening? This will therefore cut the forest from between. Now, animals are usually migrators. They keep moving from one area to another in search of food, water, shade, herbal medicines. They keep doing that. Now, when you make road or rail or any kind of a bridge from between a forest, it cuts and fragments the habitat. When there is no natural movement, it impacts the health and fertility and breeding of these animals. Okay, so now the government is creating corridors. Corridors mean either underground or through a flyover. We will make sure that the forest is equally accessible to the animal. And in case a highway or a roadway has to pass, it will pass in such a way that the habitat will not be fragmented. Today, we are doing exactly the same kind of thing. Very good. It will not impact their movement, migration, search for water, or breeding centers. So it becomes easy for them. The more they move, the healthier they are as a species. Today, we made this in Kaziranga National Park. Purpose? To protect wildlife, to reduce human animal conflict. Recently in 25, the Honorable Supreme Court has also said that let us consider all the cases of human animal conflict as natural calamities. They are natural disaster. Then we will also improve road safety, travel time for people. It's a win-win situation, therefore. Now, ultimately, the Prime Minister has also appreciated the government of Assam for trying to control poaching in rhinoceros, for making sure there is no illegal entry in the reserved forest area. So all these are wonderful developments that have happened. In the map here, we can quickly see the Kaziranga area. Okay, let's travel to the northeast region. And if you look at the northeast region, then in Assam, you can clearly see Kaziranga National Park. Okay, Kaziranga National Park. Right? Now, because we are talking about Assam, there are few things that we should remember. There are few things we should remember. One thing is that Kaziranga National Park is situated strategically between the Brahmaputra River and the Karbi, that is the Mikir Hills in Assam? This question came up 2-3 months before also. I asked my students, which is the famous mountain in Assam? And mostly everyone was saying Garo Khasi Jayantia. Later we clarified Garo Khasi Jayantia is in Meghalaya, not in Assam. Yes. So which mountain is famous in Assam? It is Mikir Hills. I showed you the location on map also. I should have got it today. Sorry, I forgot. I'll get it again. Mikir Hills in Assam. So Kaziranga is beautifully situated. No wonder it's a hot spot. Yes, Karbi Aklong Terukula. So it is strategically located between Brahmaputra and the Mikir or the Karbi Hills in Assam. It was in 1985. How will you remember this? Because 1985 is Assam Accord also. From 1985, the Kaziranga National Park was declared a World Heritage Site from UNESCO. World Heritage Site. A very interesting river that's a tributary of Brahmaputra named as the Difalu River. If I'm not pronouncing properly, do let me know. Sometimes these pronunciations are always a problem. Okay, so the Difalu River, I think somebody from the area could tell me better. Kojumba or Eric could have told me, but Eric can tell me. Kojumba, I don't know if she's there. So Difalu, I'm not sure, but that's a famous tributary of the river Brahmaputra that also flows through this national park. It's an interesting wetland also. There is another tributary named as Mora Difalu that also flows from the national park. Now, a very famous species of dolphin is found here named as Gangetic River dolphin. It's very commonly found in this habitat. Plus, as we all know, it is the largest habitat in the world for the one-horned rhinoceros. So what can we learn from this article? Importance of wildlife corridor, that the fact that Kaziranga is the largest globally habitat of one-horned rhino. Second, we can learn that this is an area inhabited by the rare species, India's own species, Gangetic River dolphin. We can remember about the Mikir Hill in Assam, about the tributary of Brahmaputra that flows from this national park called Difalu and Mora Difalu. Okay, so that's it from this article. Now, quickly coming back to the next article. So, we'll focus a little bit more here because this is an issue from GS paper 2 in two ways. GS paper 2 because I am looking at vulnerable communities. And who are the vulnerable community here? We are looking at children. In India, children, especially children below 5, are very vulnerable. GS paper 2, social justice, vulnerable community, plus GS paper 2 also because we are looking at polity and governance, the various rules, protocols and policies in India plus constitutional articles that prevent child abuse, child trafficking. So let's quickly, very good Vikash, let's quickly focus on this article. It does, very good Kundan. So let's quickly focus on this article immediately. What does this article say? This article is saying that in India, child abuse is a very, very dangerous human right issue. A very famous court case, therefore, has to be spoken about. And we are looking at the very famous court case from December 2025. So focus properly. The court case is called KP Kiran Kumar versus the state. KP Kiran Kumar. From today's class, I will send in the Telegram group. From today's class, which important court cases should we remember? One, we remembered about the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, two important court cases, Hawala case and then Subramaniam Swamy case. Now I'm looking at the third court case for the day and we are looking at child abuse. Very good, Satya. We are looking at KP Kiran Kumar case. What is going on? Bacha, focus please. This court case is coming from December 2025 and what has happened here? In the KP Kiran Kumar versus the state case, Supreme Court of India issued a strict guideline to prevent child trafficking and child abuse, saying that child trafficking violates child's fundamental right to life. As my students were saying, Article 24, Indian article that prohibits beggary and human trafficking. That is Article 23, beggary and human trafficking. Article 24, no kind of child exploitation. And also Article 21 is important here, right to life itself. A child has a right to life with dignity. When you have trafficking as a problem, you are denying that right. Very good, Neerath, for reminding the Vineet Narayan case. Yes. Okay. So coming back quickly, KP Kiran Kumar case, December 25. It has raised in question three articles of the Constitution. 23. No human trafficking, no beggary. 24. No child exploitation. 23. 21. Right to life itself. Okay. So now what is the KP Kumar case? KP Kiran Kumar case. Please listen carefully. The KP Kiran Kumar versus state is a criminal case in India that concerns allegations of child trafficking. It is very notable for its focus on illegal adoption and then sale of infants through unauthorized networks. Yes, this is a very infamous case, notorious case that deals with first adopting a baby and then selling that baby. Is that not trafficking? It is. In fact, in detail, I have discussed with all of you India's surrogacy law also. Many times I have told you, what is the surrogacy law in India? We do not allow commercial surrogacy. And despite that, unfortunately, poor women every day are victims of illegal commercial surrogacy. Is that not human trafficking? It is human trafficking. We have spoken about NOTO, the Organ Transplant Act in India. When doctors and hospitals are stealing organs and then selling them commercially through black market, is that not human trafficking? It is human trafficking. Okay, so now we are looking at the KP Kiran Kumar case, which deals with first adopting a baby and then selling the baby. Here what has happened is that judiciary says that by first adopting a child and then subsequently selling that child, you are completely breaking down Article 24 of the Constitution. Very good, Vikash. Thota 94 is what I was talking about. Very good. Coming back to this, what's the case all about? Now, the case came from accusations that KP Kiran Kumar, listen carefully, KP Kiran Kumar and his associates were participating in a network that used to support unlawful sale and transfer of infants under the pretext of adoption. The prosecution says that violation of Indian Penal Code and child welfare statutes has been done in this case. The matter was highlighted in the High Court after convictions happened at a lower court level, bringing the question of evidentiary standards and statutory interpretation here. What is happening now? The High Court said clearly that it is the key duty of judiciary in India at the lower level, at the High Court level, and at the apex Supreme Court level to control illegal adoption. Interpreting child welfare laws to prioritize the rights and safety of minors, the KP Kiran Kumar case clearly raises a question on the implementation of India's child protection framework. And here, the adoption agencies, the agencies that are managing adoption cases, have been a failure completely. Complete failure, because they have not been able to regulate illegal adoption. What do you mean by child trafficking? What is child trafficking? Before we look at child trafficking, look at the shocking data on your screen. According to National Crime Records Bureau 2022, 3,098 children were rescued from child smugglers. Between April 24 and March 25, over 53,000 children were rescued from labor, trafficking, kidnapping. But what is the conviction rate? The conviction rate between 2018 and 22 is only 4.8%. Look at the bias in the data itself. Look at the gap in the data itself. Look at the culture lag that exists here. You have NCRB to protect children. You have Juvenile Justice Board. You have POCSO 2012. You have so much data that's in front of our eyes, and still conviction rate. Conviction rate is 4.8%. That means most of the accused are walking free without any punishment. What is child trafficking? Who defines child trafficking? Very interestingly, we are talking about a protocol. So you need to remember that it is a protocol called Palermo Protocol. I'll write down here. Okay, it's written right here. It is a protocol named as Palermo Protocol. Palermo Protocol. This is the standard definition internationally that we use to define child trafficking. And what is child trafficking? Recruitment, transport, harboring of a child for the purpose of exploitation is known as child trafficking. In India, if you look at Indian legal protocols. We have the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita from 2023, the upgraded version of Indian Penal Code. Under that, you have section 143 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has clearly defined trafficking and child exploitation in the form of sexual physical abuse, slavery, making child a bonded labor. Very good, King, at the rate code name. Yes, very good. The Palmero Protocol, very good. Forced labor, removal of organs of the child for selling. All these are considered under section 143 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And what about the constitutional provisions here? Which constitutional provisions are important here? Absolutely, Article 23. Prohibition of trafficking and forced labor among children. Article 24. No use of child labor in hazardous industries like mining, bangle making, firecracker making, brick kilns, or any kind of factory. Not allowed. Scavenging also. Article 39E and Article 39F, we are looking at Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSP, Part 4 of the Constitution. It protects children from exploitation and abandonment. And which key laws in India govern that? We are looking at Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita section we just discussed, 143, which defines child trafficking. Very good. Then you have section 98 and 99, which prohibits selling and buying of minor children. We look at Immoral Traffic Prevention Act that protects children from sexual exploitation. The most important, POCSO 2012, which we have discussed in detail with special reference to section 6 of the POCSO Act that deals with aggraved crimes or aggravated natures of crime. Aggravated sexual crime. All these are gender neutral acts. The accused can be man or a woman, the victim can be a girl or a boy. Gender doesn't matter here. We have the Juvenile Justice Act to protect, rehabilitate such children who are victims of abuse. We have the Criminal Law Amendment Act also, which has expanded the definition of trafficking, and then ultimately POCSO, which is gender neutral. POCSO that today has a dedicated amount of 400 fast track courts in India. If we have created 773 fast track courts, then more than 400 are exclusively trying to deal with POCSO applications, although the conviction rate is still low. Sorry to say, conviction rate is still low. We can give punishment including life imprisonment and death penalty under POCSO through an amendment that was done to POCSO in 2019. Yes. Now, with all these, what is the judicial approach in India? Now, if you look at the Supreme Court milestone verdict, we had a very famous Supreme Court case called Vishal Jeet versus Union of India case, in which the Supreme Court said child trafficking is a socio-economic problem. We have the MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu case, in which the High Court of Madras said child labor in hazardous or dangerous occupations violates Article 24 of the Constitution. We have the Bachpan Bachao Andolan, Save Childhood Andolan, protest versus Union of India, where the government was given orders by the court to stop the problem of child trafficking. What are the main causes of child trafficking? Why in countries like India, heavily populated, do we have problems of child trafficking? The biggest reason happens to be multi-dimensional poverty. Second biggest reason happens to be high total fertility rate among the poor population. Third, social media misuse, fake job offers, fake modeling offers to adolescents, pornography, online grooming gangs, natural disasters and migration. A very big example, Rohingya. When in Myanmar, I have showed you on the map the Rakhine state of Myanmar in northwestern Myanmar, when Rohingya refugees experienced a genocide by the Myanmari Janta. It was these people who migrated into Bangladesh and then from there to India. Today in Bangladesh's area called Cox's Bazar, it has the highest incidence of prostitution and child trafficking because of refugee crisis, because of internally displaced and internationally displaced people. Biggest reason is migration. Then comes vulnerability of marginalized communities. The fact that they are poor, lack of awareness also sets in. There is no scope of higher education, and then young children are forced to work. The next big area could be the migrant labor population, whose children do not get continuous education, where women and children are majorly involved in the informal sector of the economy. Can we do something to protect them? Again, the problem of culture lag comes in. Making laws on paper is not going to help children from trafficking or abuse. Making laws like Immoral Traffic Prevention Act or POCSO, making laws like the Garima Grace scheme or various other schemes in India to protect young women and children will not work until we create a proper campaign for political rights of children. Strict action against traffickers. I mean, what do you mean by saying that 4.8% people have been convicted? Is that a joke? So rather than making laws, why can't we as a society, civil society groups, the courts, the judiciary itself at all the three levels, the government at the state level, why can't you investigate into the low conviction rate, by the way? If you are making 400 plus fast track courts, please focus on implementation and conviction also. No, making laws is not enough. Better monitoring, better online awareness, and ultimately, as all of you are saying, much better education, much better support system at the gram panchayat level as well. So that is what this article is basically talking about, that child abuse continues to be a notorious problem in India. Okay, so quickly the question, with reference to child trafficking in India, look at these statements, please. One, child trafficking as recognized by Supreme Court amounts to a violation of child's fundamental right to life under the Constitution, Article 21. Very good, Terukula. Second, under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 23, offense of trafficking covers exploitation like sexual abuse, slavery, forced labor, organ removal, thota, and punishable even when victim's consent is obtained. Now, when I'm saying victim's consent, another controversy regarding the Romeo-Juliet controversy comes here. Under the POCSO also today a lot of confusion is going on, where when many states are questioning that under POCSO, any child who is below 18, that's the age of consent in India, even if they have given the consent for a sexual relationship, it will still be considered as rape, because we have a blanket rule when it comes to POCSO. But today many high courts are questioning that many adolescents in the age group of 16 to 18 are willingly entering relationships. So you can't take that as a POCSO crime. So therefore we must allow, like in European Union, some kind of a Romeo-Juliet clause here, when there is an active consent involved. Okay, so we did this article on controversy on whether we should reduce age of consent or we should let it be the way it is. Okay, so third one, the POCSO 2012 applies only to a girl child, and it does not provide for any fast track case. So answers are coming in from Kundan, Eric, Urupam, Mr. Khan, Neerath, many code names, and Bushra and Sitaram, Abhilash, Vikash, of course, has answered. And so have other students like Priyanshu. And very good. Everyone has answered correctly. So big round of applause, because majority is right. First two are valid, third is wrong. Third is wrong because all of you know, yes, don't we, that under POCSO we have created 400 plus fast track courts. So it's wrong. Second, it's a gender neutral act. Yes, very good, Kundan. It's a gender neutral act. The victim or the abused, their gender doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter. Now, as we end the class, a quick travel to the Gaza area in 5 minutes, and then we are over. So we are looking at the Gaza area. We are looking at the West Asia. In the last few classes, we have always been traveling to various places like, of course, armchair travelism, to places like Yemen, Saudi. We recently also saw Israel, the war that's happening in Iran, the biggest internal protest after 1979. Today, I want you to focus for 2 minutes on another area in West Asia. We are looking at Israel versus Palestine. The main areas that are disputable, called as the Gaza Strip, the West Bank region, all these that have experienced a major genocide and a war between Israel and Palestine. Why? Because none of them were able to finalize on the two-state solution. Israel is not ready to give any area for a sovereign Palestinian state, saying that Palestine is not a government, it is a terrorist organization, that's PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, and it supports criminals and gangs like Hamas, and therefore it is not safe for our security. The main allegation came from 2023, when on October 7th, unexpectedly, Hamas attacked a peaceful party that was going on in Israel, a music festival. And since then, the war has become very inflamed, and there is no kind of peace that we are witnessing. Yes, again come President Trump in the picture. Very good. Vikash mentions Golan Heights. Beautiful. Which, now the history of Golan Heights that we have seen in the map is very interesting. For my new students, Golan Heights is an area that Israel had captured from Egypt. But America did not want any war between Israel or Egypt. So therefore, Egypt is a neutral state also. America created the Abraham Accords. Was that Abraham Accords? America created the Camp David Accords. Under the Camp David Accord, America made a peace between Egypt and Israel. But this is known as the Cold Peace Agreement because it is just a formal agreement. Very good. Very, very good. Absolutely, Terikula. So Golan Heights is Syria. We are looking, very good. No, it is Syria, Lebanon. Very good. We are looking at Sinai Peninsula. Very, very good. Absolutely. Brilliant observed. Well done. So looking, brilliant. Absolutely. Looking at Sinai Peninsula. That relates with Camp David Accord. Cold Peace Treaty we have spoken about. Very good. Camp David Accord 1978 in detail we have discussed. Now, very good, Eric. Now we are looking at Golan Heights, what Vikash mentioned. That is Lebanon, Syria. Okay, that is another area on which huge dispute is going on. Always remember the Cold Peace Treaty. Now, somebody mentioned Abraham Accord. Okay, Abraham Accord was 2020. That's when America is trying to create an acceptance for Israel in countries like Gulf regions of Saudi Arabia. Is that successful? Not completely. Because Saudi says, I will not give my approval to Israel until there is some scope for creating a Palestine. After all, it's about Islamic Brotherhood also. Yes? Very good. Correct. Not Egypt. Brilliant. Well observed. That is, be very clear, Sinai, Egypt. Golan Heights, Syria, Lebanon. Very good, Ramu. Thanks for reminding something that I had spoken about long, long back. It was because of the Camp David Accord that finally American leader Mr. Jimmy Carter and another leader from Israel, they got the Nobel Peace Prize. Very good. And that is why President Trump today needs Nobel Peace Prize. And that's why the prize of Miss Maria Machado was taken away by President Trump 3 days before in a White House ceremony. So hope it's clear with everyone, even the new students, no confusion? No confusion among anyone? Yes? Now what is the agenda of this article? Let's go to the map. We are looking at Israel versus Palestine. We are looking at conflicted regions like West Bank and Gaza area. Yes? Before I proceed with this article, clarify what we discussed so far. Israel, which has never accepted the two-state solution, does not acknowledge Palestinian demand for a separate country. That's why today American President Mr. Donald Trump, who himself wants to become a peace broker across the globe, is creating a 20-point peace program. 20-point, I'm coming to that, very good question. 20-point peace program by creating a Gaza peace board, in which today India has also been invited. India is invited to become a member of this peace board that will now negotiate and create peace between Israel as well as Palestine. Okay, that's the agenda. Just now, we have spoken about two areas in the world. I don't need confusion. One, Sinai Peninsula, Egypt, relates to Camp David Accord, Nobel Peace Prize, Egypt, Israel. Cold Peace Treaty. Not Cold War, Cold Peace Treaty. Next, we are looking at now another area, Golan Heights. That was also in the news. Area related to Syria. Okay, in Syria, we have discussed thoroughly about Al-Assad, the new leader Al-Shara. Today morning, there was a news. Finally, the Syrian government is ready to support the Syrian Democratic Forces. They all want to fight against ISIS together. Yes, America's involvement is huge in terms of Kurdish forces. We have done this agenda thoroughly. That is Syria, Golan Heights. You know? Great. Now, coming back. Today, again, let's come to Palestine. What is the news? And a very good question was asked by a student here. Why is India becoming involved here? Great question. Let's focus. Today, President Trump, yes, your own President Trump, who has recently, from a different channel, received the Nobel Peace Medal finally. He is happy now. He has said, let us invite India also to the Gaza Peace Board. Why is this board being made? Because last year, President Trump has created a 20-point peace program in which now finally he wants Israel to understand, withdraw from certain areas in West Bank and Gaza and allow a creation of separate country for Palestine. Now, what about the area that is the most important area here, the West Bank area? It will become like an international hub now, an area where various countries will have a great opportunity to do economic trade, business. It will be made as a modernized business hub, international hub. But ultimately, the leader of the program will going to be President Trump himself. That's the agenda. Today, why is India involved? Because India has been invited to join this peace board, but it's a controversy. It's a controversy because Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu, is not ready for it. He is not ready for it. He says it's a bogus program. I will not support any such 20-point peace program. I'm sorry. I am not going to give any territory to Palestine. Unfortunately, even on the peace board, Palestinian authorities were not involved. It is single-handedly an action created by America by taking approval from countries like Egypt, Saudi. Today, he wants India to come on board. On the map here, you can clearly see this area. We can look here at the bigger Israel. You can look here at the conflicted region called the Gaza Strip. Okay, this is what is making news right now, just on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. So what is going on exactly? President Trump says, let's invite India. India has received the invitation. Have we responded? No, India has not responded yet. We are not sure about joining the Board of Peace for Gaza. It is ultimately led by America. It wants to create peace and rebuild Gaza. But it can only happen when Hamas completely withdraws from Gaza. Will Hamas withdraw? We don't have clarity. Will Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu agree? In the end, we don't know. 2 days before, in fact, yesterday also in the global news, they were showing missiles are going on. There is still controversy and conflict that's going on. From September 2025 to now, we are only talking about a peace plan, but there has been no involvement either from Palestine, no such approval either from Israel itself. So that's why it's a major controversy. Okay. So according to security plan, America says we will create a temporary international stabilization force, ISF, in Gaza. And India has clearly said, I am not going to send any troops. Why did India deny sending troops? India is one country. India is one country which contributes heavily to United Nations security peacekeeping forces. But today India says, I am not sending my forces. Why? Because is this a UN peacekeeping force? No. America needs to understand there is a difference between UN and US. If it was a UN plan, we could have sent our forces. We always do. If it is US, sorry, we can't send our forces. Why will we send our forces? What is the legality of this peace board? It's being monitored by America. It is not UN. So India will not send any troops. Sorry, we are not going to send. India wants peace in this area. India was one of the first countries to acknowledge Palestine as a country long back during 1960s itself. But when it comes to being directly involved, no. India will not be militarily involved in this region at all. India has a great diplomatic relation with Saudi, with UAE, with Israel on the one hand, Iran on the other. We don't want any military involvement here at all. If we start doing that, India will also become a key enemy of major Gulf countries. We are not going to therefore do that. Okay, so that's it. Now we can end this article, and in the mention, there was on the page 1 a small piece that was talking about the Guillain-Barré syndrome. Okay, the GBS. The Guillain-Barré syndrome. There are different pronunciations throughout the social media, so don't get confused there. So normally from American pronunciation, people call this Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now cases are spreading in Madhya Pradesh. It's a dangerous disease, yes, because if you look at Guillain-Barré, then it is a kind of syndrome that impacts your nervous system very badly. So on the broad diagram, if we see, a normal human nerve will look like this. It's a healthy, compact nerve. But once you are impacted by the Guillain-Barré, then your nerve becomes like this. It chips apart. Now, if it is chipping apart, signals cannot carry from one neurotransmitter into another. And that causes you to completely, become dysfunctional. You can't function properly at all. Your vein and your nerve is totally damaged. It's an autoimmune disorder. We have discussed about autoimmune disorders many times. We were discussing about a disease called sickle cell anemia. We spoke how many Indian tribals are impacted by that. Today, the Indian government is trying to solve the problem by key innovations like Birsa 101, India's first CRISPR genome therapy. Yes, it was created. Now, this is also an autoimmune but neurological disorder. Body's immune system will start attacking your own nerves. In Nobel Prize context, this year in 2025, the Nobel Prize for Medicine or Physiology has also been given for research and investigation into peripheral immune system, the TREGs, the T regulatory cells. Yes, TREGs. Yes, do you remember that? So that's what we are talking about. Therefore, it causes muscle weakness. It paralyzes your body completely. Sorry, there is no solution. The causes typically are you become sick with a viral or a bacterial infection. As you are getting cure, your own body, in order to sort of, your body becomes like immune system is very strong that time to fight these infections. But in the process, the immunity starts attacking its own healthy cells. So that's how the disease really outbreaks. And now there is no permanent cure. But yes, we have two interventions. One is a plasma therapy, and one is an intravenous immunoglobulin therapy. And how do they work? If you look at the intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, then what do? You make ready-made antibodies, and they are injected in the system of the patient so that the patient has a better response towards such issues and your immunity doesn't attack you. Okay. Next is plasma exchange, a medical treatment in which the blood's liquid part, RBC, are removed, liquid part, plasma, is taken, and then it will be put in the system of the patient so that the plasma then is able to fight disease causing antibodies from the blood. Okay. So that is what is happening right now. GS paper 3, health nutrition. Very good, Vikash. Autoimmune, TREGs, the regulatory T cell, all generated from a special kind of gene called FOXP3 gene. Very good. It was in the news all over as we spoke about Nobel Prize. Very good. You've given the name also, Terukula. Very good. With mnemonic. Brilliant. So that's it then. Will India support Israel or Gaza? Kaizen, India won't support either in terms of military, in terms of money. India supports humanitarian missions in Gaza. It keeps on doing that. But at the same time, India has a great friend with Israel. We are a great defense partner, great trade and strategic partner. India has unequivocally condemned the violence in Gaza. But India will not take an active decision when it comes to whether Israel is completely wrong or in not giving the space to Palestine or not endorsing two-state solution, or India will not really campaign or rally for giving a separate country to PLO. We will have a very passive kind of engagement, not an active engagement. We can't afford that. Okay, very good. Healthy blood. So that's it for the day. Then I'll take your leave. Okay. Thank you so much for being in the class. Thank you so much for today's lecture. I'll take your leave now. We have new options that are available on our platform. So, for example, for 2016, at a very small price of 5,000 to 7,000, you can access the SIP, Success in Prelims. It will train you for GS1 and CSAT, and soon I'm starting live CSAT classes also. You will be notified about the date and time. So use code SPLY for maximum discount. Same is for 27, 28 as well. Do spread the word. Do let your friends know. Thank you very much. Very kind of you for all these lovely words, for all these positive comments, and God bless each one of you. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'll share on the Telegram all the relevant information. So God bless you. Bye Priyanshu, bye Kaizan, bye Anup, bye Nirat, bye Terukula. Okay, bye Codename King, bye Mr. Khan, bye Sitaram, bye Eric, bye Kojumba, bye Ramu, Shubham, and all my students, Saurav, Sumedh, Kundan, Vikash. All right, Nirat, Codename Sharma ji, Abhilash, Terukula, and Priyanshu, yes, Anup, many more code names in between, Bushra, Bulbul, Urupam, Eric, Anup, Nirat I have mentioned, Ramu of course, and who else was there with me today? Today who else was there? These are the main names. Okay, anybody else was there? All right, Santosh was there. Then we had many code names, as I mentioned. AB had come, Kundan had come. So that's it. These are the names I can find. Brajesh, Rudrani, AB, yes, Terukula, absolutely. Anok, okay, that's good to know. All right then. Okay then. Bye AB, bye Shubham, bye everybody. God bless you. God bless you. See you tomorrow. God bless you.